And now the shipping forecast. There are warnings of gales in Thames, Dover, White, Portland, Plymouth and...
Joe called me, I think, at about 5:30 in the morning, and Freddie had basically gone into a coma. So we called the doctor, and he made Freddie sort of comfortable. The doctor had literally just left the house, and we went up, and Freddie had moved. You could see he had moved a bit. And as we were changing his T-shirt, we just looked and saw his chest had stopped moving.
A day after revealing to the world that he had AIDS, the rock star Freddie Mercury has died.
The day he died, we spent the whole night at my house in Kensington at the time. The three of us just trying to make sense of it, and then it came up on the news in the early morning.
Good morning from Sarah and me. You're watching the BBC's Breakfast News. It's 6:30. The headlines this morning, Monday, the 25th of November.
Maybe it shouldn't have been, but it was an awful shock. And Roger and John and myself got together, sat, kind of had a cup of tea, not knowing what to say, and then we put the TV on.
The pop star Freddie Mercury died last night in London.
We almost stopped breathing because that's when we believed that it had actually happened. The fact that it was on the news made it real.
I didn't really see much of Jim. I think not being one that lived his life in the public eye, didn't want any of that, so withdrew.
The lead singer with Queen, aged 45, had announced on Saturday he was suffering from AIDS.
It was announced before he died, but he didn't want to go through the misery of being the object of pity or scrutiny, you know, when you're that sick. So he did announce it, and within 24 hours he was gone. So I think that was probably perfect timing. Bloody good move, I thought.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Rolling?
Running.
Freddie Mercury was an incredible, innovative singer and frontman for a band. He was a very dear friend of mine, and it was a privilege to have known him for some of his life.
The press was full of what a wonderful performer Freddie was, what amazing music he wrote. Everybody had been saying such wonderful things, nice things. How very quickly that changed.
The press were pretty shitty, as they normally were.
Freddie dying of AIDS, Freddie sleeping around, so he got what he deserved.
Yeah, I wouldn't single anybody out, except maybe the Sun, I think, were particularly awful about it.
There was some nice press, there were some people who were very nice, but there were people who were unbelievably unsympathetic.
730,000 people using the Help AIDS line last year. Those people seeking help and advice. We've got to be able to give it in school, but we've got to be able to give it as part of a total picture so that we don't have a great hoo-ha when Freddie Mercury died, because he had such a bizarre and, in my view, quite unacceptable lifestyle.
There was this talk of, well, you know, he was gay, he kind of deserved it, you know, he lived that kind of promiscuous lifestyle. It was going to happen, you know, And we thought, oh my God, you people have no idea of what this disease really is. And obviously no feeling about the morality of what you're saying.
Roger Taylor and Brian May are with us. The death of Freddie Mercury...
Brian and I decided to say something on breakfast TV or something.
It's been quite distressing to read some of the reports in the press.
Not quite sure what we want to do. I was just to say that, look, this press is disgusting, really. What a terrible attitude. And there we were, stuck with Paul Daniels.
Paul Daniels is listening here. Were you a fan of Queen and of Freddie Mercury?
Well, no, because
We were in a bit of a daze, to be honest. It hit us very hard. We were very angry. And we had to stick up for our friend, you know, our best friend.
Freddie made one crucial decision before he died, which was to announce the fact that he did have AIDS, which was a very brave and I think well-timed act on his part, because it gave us and those close to us a kind of weapon to talk about AIDS. You know, it would have been very easy for him to put on his death certificate pneumonia, you know, which he knew, and it could have perhaps sidestepped the whole thing. The fact that he announced it and said, look, I've got this, and there was no shame to that, I think is very important, because there shouldn't be from this point, well, not from any point, any stigma to having this disease. It's nothing to do with, you know, somebody did something wrong, he's being punished. That's got to go. It has to go, you know. It's everybody's problem now. At that point, we thought we're not going to let Freddie be perceived in history as a victim or as someone who threw himself in front of a train. And if we're going to talk about AIDS, we should bring everything out into the open. Freddie isn't the only person who's being vilified before and after his death by people who think that AIDS is some kind of revenge against gay people.